What does it mean to live, die, grieve, and keep living in the era of oversharing? That's oversharing as in social media, and that's the question posed on the website for a new play called Everybody, well, Seen by Everyone. It's being presented by Here Arts in Manhattan, but with us now are two Brooklynites who just happen to be the most important people to talk to. They wrote it. I want to welcome Taher. Thanks for being here, Jen.
Thank you.
And Enormvs Munoz. Thanks
Hi,
for
Brian.
joining
Thank
us
you.
today. So we can't escape these things. Like a second before the camera went on, I just sat on my phone. We're surrounded by these examined lives now. There's never going to be another time when everything you do isn't documented from birth to death. So what inspired you to make this?
We all collectively got together. Two of our co-writers sort of instigated it. They were interested in kind of the text of social media, so we all got together one night and just started brainstorming. And one thing that really popped up was that more than anything else, we were all struck by the amount of death actually online. And the
Death and mourning.
death and mourning.
Death in what sense? Like people really passing away?
People
like
passing away, and that their
Muhammad
Facebook
Ali trending kind of thing?
And memorializing.
No, but rather in a more personal way, that there is a kind of like
It's digital afterlife thought.
a sort of cyber graveyard that Facebook has. There's
Created
this
for
enormous
Yeah.
capacity for mourning and how to deal with the ghost in the machine,
Yeah.
so to speak. And that's something that we were really struck by time and time again.
Yeah.
That like juxtaposed with the extreme banality
Yeah.
of social media. So you had this heartfelt goodbye to a mother or a friend, juxtaposed with like conversations about Kim Kardashian's butt, you know, so that coexisting in the same
Sublime
space.
to the ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
So which one in the play?
I like to think we included all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this play in particular really focuses on death and the way we're dealing with it now. And public mourning and public grieving and the cathartic act of sharing with each other and then just the domino effect that goes on, you know, how one very innocent comment can blow up into a huge argument with people you've never met and will never know. And how I could lose my dog, and I've got strangers or people I haven't spoken to since high school reaching out and offering me their sympathies and their heartfelt, you know.
Yeah, and also the kind of both the comfort and the hollowness of language, that essentially you're given tools like I'm so sorry and condolences and sympathies, which come off as essentially
That's what you gotta say.
what you have to say, but there's a sort of hollow comfort in that. Like ultimately the only thing that really matters is time, assuages sadness.
And the fact that you are talking about Kim Kardashian's butt fully 2 posts after you just gave your heartfelt condolences to someone. But instead of just talking about it, I think we actually have a clip that we're gonna go to now to share some of the piece. Let's go there.
Oh, cool.
Wow, that looks like a happening there. So
Yeah.
that is unique in the staging just from seeing it, but something that's also unique is the fact that everything that happens and that you pull here is actually from real text
From social
and post
media,
and media.
100%.
Yeah.
So we, along with our co-writers and producers, Matt Cohn, Amir Darvish, and Meg McCary, we curated things, and we changed things like pronouns, but ultimately the script was written by you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
do
all
I
been
get a cut?
fashioned
How
from.
do you work that out artistically?
Well,
We thank you from the
thank
bottom
you.
of our
Oh,
hearts.
Yeah,
like that.
for your generosity.
Mentioned in the program.
But once you put, I mean, this is interesting to know as someone who uses this, that once you put that out into the public domain, I mean, we also use the term and conditions of Facebook in the play.
That no one's ever read.
They're all kind of come through the bartender character, and there is a kind of Greek theme too that we nod to.
Gotcha.
So it's a
There's a
sort of
chorus in
yes,
there.
there's a kind of
Yes.
underworld like theme in it. But once you've put that out onto Facebook, it does become public domain. It's no longer yours. I mean, that's an interesting thing. So we did explore like legally whether we could do it. In fact, we are protected.
And the show is fun, though. It takes place, it's an immersive set. Our design team and our director have done an immense amount of great work and created a world. You know, it takes place in a bar.
Yeah.
And the bar, of course, is more than just a mere bar. Even though we have microphones and projections and all that, there's just a little bit more going on there. We actually were honored to have our first positive review, our first and a positive review this morning that came out. Who is it by again, Jen?
Talking Broadway.
Talking Broadway.
Yeah,
So
that
if
was nice.
any of your watchers want to find out more about exactly what goes on, they can just check out that, and that will give us a
And we
really
made
good
a
idea.
very concrete decision not to have phones. The technology is not.
So obvious.
Yeah, so it happens kind of immersively rather than like having a bunch of people at tables with a blue light on their face. So I think that that's a choice that we made, that the technology is not kind of literal, it's metaphorical and poetic.
So during the course of making this and now in the act of performing it, what have you learned about your own social media proclivities or your relationship to this technology that just doesn't stop?
One thing Jen said is that we're discovering that people are very generous with their opinions, with their judgments, with their political views or their feelings, not realizing the scope to which their generosity extends. And personally, I'm finding too, like, regardless of what my intent is putting it out there, the reception I really have no control over. No matter how well I try to compose something, it's ultimately, we all bring our own baggage to the table, and as a reader, as somebody who's a recipient of what I put out there, I can't control that. I can't control what you feel or what you want to interpret my words as.
So what have you learned?
I mean, to me, I think what's interesting is I think it's so easy to become cynical about social media, just the onslaught of humanity. One thing I said is that I was struck by, oftentimes when we talk about technology, that we think that it's in some ways influencing us, like it's making us colder, less connected, more rational. And I actually think the opposite. It's becoming more noisily human, that essentially we sort of have like more of a impact on it than it does on us. It just becomes another extension of life. And so I think that what I've noticed about myself and doing the play, specifically in relation to people having a space to express their grief, is how we really want to be seen. It's not really a cynical, I mean, I guess you could say it's narcissism. It's a byproduct of an age of narcissism, and that's certainly a quality of it. But I also think that essentially we want to be heard, we want to be seen, and in a world of transience where many of us move away from our hometowns or we don't have a necessarily a tribe per se, that this becomes a de facto town square that we can for a moment feel like people are listening to us.
And it's in your back pocket.
Yeah, it's literally you.
I'm sitting
Also,
on it.
it's important to get off of it. That's another thing too, just spending so much time on it.
Well, you can get off of it and go out to seen by everyone. So tell people how they can disconnect and get plugged into your show.
Well, we just opened on Monday.
Welcome.
And we're running through the month of June at Here Arts Center, which is 145 6th Ave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right in Soho.
1, 4, 5, 6.
We brought you some
Cool
swag.
little
I'm gonna take it. Thank you very much.
And
So in the
matches.
last 10 seconds, is there a website or
Yes.
anything you can go to?
SeenByEveryone.com. Look for hashtag Seen by Everyone.
Yeah.
We've been blessed with some great consultants like
Awesome.
Nana Mensa, who's
Seen by everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.